Welcome to the 2025 Dialogue, a masterclass series by the HR Association of India. I am Neha Jagnani, and today's session takes us into a critical theme that impacts not just organizations, but every individual. Today's topic is avoiding misselling, how to identify and stay away from false financial narratives. To guide us through this important conversation, we have with us Abhay Maheshwari. Abhay is the founder and CEO of ASM Wealth, a chartered accountant and an MBA from Indiana University. With over a decade of experience across IT and financial services sector, including international exposure in private equity at Singapore. A passionate investor since his teenage years, he has already witnessed two full market cycles and today manages over 150 crores in investment across mutual funds and direct equities. What sets him apart is his mission to empower individuals to make informed financial choices by cutting through the false promises, attractive narratives, and the risk of misselling. Abhay believes that financial awareness is the strongest shield against misinformation and misguidance in today's investment landscape. Abhay, thank you so much for joining. It's a pleasure having you.
Thank you. Thanks, Neha. Thanks for having me. Hoping to add some value to all our viewers today.
Thank you so much, Abhay. I look forward to this exciting masterclass. So, to begin
Thank you.
with, my first question to you is what are some common signs that an investment product is being missold to investors?
So, actually, there are so many products which are being missold because uh, there is so much innovation happening in terms of creation of products, and once something is created, uh, whether it serves value or not is secondary. The primary purpose is to go and sell it to grab more wallet share because people have stopped falling for older gimmicks.
Right.
So I would say if you want some pointers, is it being sold mostly in tier two, tier three cities and villages, because people in tier one cities are probably a bit worried. Second would be the kind of people selling it, right? Do they have the right kind of educational experience and background? And are they just empaneled with one or two organizations, or are they independent, And I will say empaneled because then they will have to sell whatever the organization offers, whether they like it or not, and whether they believe it is right for the client or not.
Right.
And the third one would be that again, are they employees? They could be agents or they could be employees. But if even if they're employees, they will have targets and they will obviously sell you things seasonally. So
Right.
even when the markets are not going in an upward direction, there are people selling you all kinds of hybrid funds and multi-asset funds, and when the markets are going upwards, they will keep launching new kinds of equity funds again. Whereas honestly, you should always have a balance in your portfolio and you should focus on asset allocation. But independence of the person selling, I would say, is primary. Are they associated with someone? Do they have to report to someone? Do they have targets? Because just think, how would you feel if a doctor working in a hospital has targets and you come to know about it? Would you trust that doctor anymore? Right?
Absolutely. That's a great example to end with, actually. Thank you so much. And also, with so many options, you tend to get confused as to what to buy, what to follow. So it becomes even more difficult. So it's very important to be aware of the background of the
Absolutely.
person as well. So thank you so much. My next question, Abhay, is why do people often fall for attractive narratives, even when the fundamentals don't add up?
I think Neha, it's primarily because of lack of education, but it's not solely because of lack of education. There are things like baggage which come from family, relatives. People have seen, uh, their parents just put a lot of money into ULIPs or money back plans or gold or real estate. So that plays a massive role. It is also largely, I feel, the inability to deal with volatility or uncertainty that makes people invest with in things like ULIPs where they know a certain return will be made, but inability to deal with volatility does not directly mean risk, right? It just means that things will get there, but they will have a turbulent journey. And if you really go for risk-free options, you will not make anything, 1 or 2% up or down fixed deposit rate. So really people don't make money over there. And I think again, a very important factor is inability to understand motivations of the people selling to them, uh, filtering through the noise, and filtering through the noise can be learned through education, but something like understanding the motivations and vested interest, I think it comes with wisdom. It's not just knowledge or education that will bring that to the table.
Right. So to summarize, Abhay, it's lack of education, there is baggage,
Yeah,
there is inability to deal with volatility, and last but not the least,
absolutely.
inability to understand the motivation of the seller. So thank you so much. Very
Absolutely,
nice.
yeah.
My next question, Abhay, is how can individuals verify whether a financial advisor or product recommendation is trustworthy or not? How do you verify that?
Uh, in terms of things like ULIPs and all, can you calculate the IRR or CAGR returns? This will also be a point I will add to the previous answer. But if you're not able to calculate returns in terms of such products, and they are just telling you you invest so much for X amount of time, and then you will get so much after this amount of time, the amounts look big, but your returns probably would be in the range of 4-5%, even lower than FD. And again, another factor is the educational qualifications of the person who's selling, the independence of the person who's selling, as I said, agents or employees of a single organization.
Right.
And the most important part is if you tell them that you want to invest somewhere, and without asking you questions regarding your goals, your asset allocation, the time frame for which you can stay invested, and what you are looking for, your aspirations, and they just make a plan and say you should invest here or there. I think that is a big red flag. Also, one question which we can ask them is that what is your thought process, risk management framework, and that kind of stuff. Here, you will find that employees of institutions may be better trained to answer these questions, but many of these agents and independent advisors, of whom many are good but many aren't also, they will not be able to answer these questions. So they will just say, ये अच्छा है आप यहाँ डाल दो, ये अच्छा है इतना मिलेगा यहाँ डाल दो. That's not the way to answer. They
Sure.
should be able to have explained to you a process and a framework through which they will invest. Another red flag is again, guaranteeing some kind of returns, right? Things are uncertain, right? Anywhere where there's a guarantee, either it's a lie or your returns will be single digit, right? So that's the thumb rule.
Sure, thank you so much. So just to summarize, if you're
Yeah,
not able to calculate the returns, that's the red flag. Qualification of the seller, obviously, you mentioned matters a lot. People who, without asking your goals and they suggest you policies and products, there is a red flag for you. And last but not the least,
absolutely.
if they offer you a guaranteed return. So questioning becomes key here, Abhay, not just to
Yeah,
the seller,
yeah.
but you yourself also to get an understanding of what you're getting into. So,
Absolutely. And Neha, the calculation part, obviously, in some things like equities, nobody will be able to guarantee your future returns. But
right,
if they are giving you things like money back policies, ULIP plans, and you don't have a rate, then it is very difficult because the numbers look big per se, but your returns are really small.
right. Sure, sure. Great point there. My next question, Abhay, is can you share an example where investors suffered losses due to misleading promises and what could have been done differently?
Well, if something usually is too good to be true, it's usually not true. We saw this in the whole Sahara thing which happened, chit fund schemes which happened. But in my personal experience, I have a client, she's a widow. And what happened is that uh, the insurance agent told her that if she wants to get the life insurance money on the passing of her husband, she needs to take another policy, and he guided her to take a policy in her son's name and make her the beneficiary rather than the other way around. And
Okay.
first of all, the peddling of a lie that you need to take a policy because he just saw how vulnerable she was. Now, that situation, moreover, her investments were inaccessible. She didn't know where to go. She didn't have any app. The advisor had locked her funds up in 5-year retirement funds. So even though there was enough money, she couldn't access it. We helped her out, but once it's locked, even we can't access it, right? We had to just play around with whatever we could manage, you know. But here is a case of someone having money but not having liquidity, and someone being just fooled on the insurance side of things as well. So, in a vulnerable situation, a person can be taken for a ride from various ends by various people, and there are a lot of predatory kind of people in the industry. So it becomes really important for people to find a trusted, guide, advisor kind of a person.
Sure. So quite a few factors play a role here, Abhay. Not just the
Absolutely.
vulnerability part, but the liquidity part, as you rightly mentioned. And I think
Absolutely.
approaching somebody, a right advisor at the right time would actually help you
Yeah.
not get into such tricky situations. So that's a great.
Absolutely. But finding the right advisor, an advisor can be good for one, not good for the other. It's like a therapist, basically.
Sure.
And again, we mentioned some of the points through which people need to filter advisors. But it is a journey which can be as challenging as, again, as I said, finding a therapist or finding a spouse. But, the results are compounded, as we know.
Sure, absolutely. Great, great insights. So this brings us to the last question for today, Abhay, which is what practical steps can beginners take to protect themselves from aggressive sales tactics and misinformation?
So, first of all, and maybe slightly controversial, do not trust institutions, right? People feel comfortable investing their money through XYZ Bank or ABC Securities because it's a brand name. But they are just acting as a channel and they are taking a big pie from there. However, the person interacting with you is again just a temporary employee and they may vanish, right? When they get better incentives elsewhere. Second is, as I said, don't do what you don't understand. Warren Buffett says that risk comes from not knowing what you are doing, right? And there's another quote which says, what can't be measured cannot be controlled. So keep these things in mind. And again, the third is the independence of the financial advisor, right? If they are tied up with one particular, say, for example, insurance company, they will push that product only, even if it's not the right one for you. So, and again, as I said, the sub brokers and that kind of stuff, because in sub broking, you will see that they are using a platform to make the operations easier. So they will always recommend schemes which are high in commissions because there are two layers to be paid. So you are losing out on a lot of money there as well. So the independence of an advisor, be it agent, be it employee, be it sub-broker, is very important.
Sure. So just to summarize, do not trust institution is your first guidance tips. Do not do what you don't understand. And the last one is the independence of the financial advisor. So thank you
Yeah.
so much, Abhay. This
Thanks,
brings us
Neha.
to the end of this masterclass. And you have actually reminded us that while opportunities are in abundant, but so are the misleading narratives. And the only way to safeguard is to be aware, is to start questioning, and basically to make those informed decisions. So thank you so much for your insight
Thanks,
today.
Neha. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Thank you.